I'm actually hungry. I share facts, curiosities, and mind-blowing mysteries. It's like the ground swallowed them. They vanished without a trace or explanation. Some went on vacation, others went to dinner or through an airport. Then they vanished. Chilling stories. Unexplained Vanishings. Faktosh Rude presents the 10 most mysterious disappearances. Could someone simply vanish? And not just in any way, but right in front of the cameras. Brian Schaeffer, an Ohio medical student, vanished in a crowded bar. His case became one of modern times' most terrifying mysteries. It was March 31, 2006. Brian Schaeffer, a 27-year-old medical student at Ohio State University, went out for a few drinks with his friend Clint Florence. It was after a tough week of exams, and on top of that, he had lost his mother just a few days earlier. The pair visited several bars. In Columbus, they ended the night at Aglatuna Saluna, a popular bar on the second floor of a shopping complex. Security cameras recorded Brian entering the bar shortly after 1 o'clock in the morning with Clint and another person, a friend named Meredith Reed. All three were slightly drunk, but there was no indication that anything disturbing was happening. Clint and Meredith say they lost track of Brian in the bar. When they couldn't find him anymore, they assumed he took a taxi home, but Brian never made it home. And what's even more disturbing, the cameras never caught him leaving the bar. The police quickly gained access to the security camera footage. You can see Brian entering on them, but never leaving. Investigators wondered how someone could vanish from a place monitored from every angle. There were only two ways out: the stairs where there was a camera and the fire escape. That was closed off and accessible only through a locked door. No camera captured Brian or anyone who looked like him leaving the premises. The bar, building, and area were searched thoroughly. No results. There was no indication that Brian had been the victim of violence inside the bar. No physical evidence, no witnesses. The case quickly became a local sensation. People speculated that he ran away, committed suicide, or was kidnapped by someone who knew the place better than an ordinary visitor. Brian's friend, Clint Florence, refused to take a lie detector test. This raised suspicion, but the police never formally charged him. After Brian disappeared, his girlfriend Alexis tried calling him for days, always reaching voicemail. Then a few days later, his phone suddenly rang. The operator said the call connected via a Hillard cell tower, but it was likely just a glitch. That means the phone was turned on, or someone was messing with Brian's things. Years went by and various theories emerged. He ran away to another state or even another country. Did he have a secret life or fall victim to an unknown attacker with access to the building's technical areas? Brian Schaeffer has been missing for nearly 20 years. His father died in a tragic accident in 2008 without ever learning the truth. His brother Derek lived with hope for years, but now admits he's accepting the worst. The video resumes soon. Please subscribe, like, and share. We'll continue with the Devourer Factor in a few seconds. In October 1978, Australian pilot Frederick Valentich took off on a routine flight from Melbourne to King Island. He never arrived. His last words were, "That strange aircraft is above me again. It's not an aircraft." And then 19 seconds of static noise. No one has seen him since. 21. On October 21, 1978, at 6:19 post-meridium, Frederick Valentich took off from Moorabbin Airport, heading to King Island. The flight was expected to be 3 hours. The weather was ideal. At 7 post-meridium, he checked in near Cape Otway. All was fine so far. At 7:06 post-meridium, Valentich said an unknown aircraft flew over him quickly. It was metallic with 4 bright lights and later reappeared, circling his aircraft. Frederick saw green lights, a shiny surface, and a long shape. He felt it was toying with him. Valentich reported engine trouble but continued to King Island. At 19:12, he sent his final message. "That strange aircraft is above me again, hovering. Actually, it's not an aircraft." Then there were 19 seconds of static. Then silence followed. After a massive search, it was called off in 4 days. An oil slick was discovered near the Cape Otway lighthouse, but it wasn't from the aircraft, and no wreckage was found. Plumber Roy Manifold said he photographed something emerging from the sea during Valentich's flight. Other witnesses reported strange lights in the sky, with several mentioning a green light hovering over a small aircraft. The official version speaks of a probable crash and pilot disorientation. The mix of testimonies, radio contact, and no wreckage makes this one of Australia's most mysterious aviation cases. Valentich's last sentence still resonates today. It's not an airplane. It could be a tragic mistake by a young pilot, or a real encounter with an unidentified flying object. Lars Mittank was a young man from Itzehoe, Germany. He had a girlfriend, a job at a power plant, no history of drugs or mental problems. In summer 2014, he took his first foreign trip with friends to Bulgaria's Golden Sands resort. He didn't know he would never return home. Friends say Lars got into a scuffle with Bayern Munich fans while on vacation. Lars, a supporter of Werder Bremen, returned to the hotel that night with an injured ear. The doctor said he had a ruptured eardrum and prescribed antibiotics. He also advised him not to fly, so Lars stayed alone in Bulgaria and checked into a cheap hotel called Color. He called his mother in a panic. "Cancel my cards, they're following me, they want to kill me," he whispered, fearing someone would hear. He was caught on the hotel cameras nervously walking, watching his surroundings, and hiding in the elevator. On July 8th, Lars arrived at the airport in Varna, where he went to consult with the airport doctor. The doctor called him nervous but fit to travel. When a construction worker entered the office during renovations, Lars jumped up and shouted, "I don't want to die here. I have to get out." Camera footage then shows Lars running out of the airport, leaving his suitcase, phone, and documents behind. He jumps a 2-meter fence and vanishes into a sunflower field. No one has seen him since. A mental breakdown caused by antibiotics or an injury, real persecution, and an attempted murder, involvement of the mafia, or a voluntary escape from an unknown threat? After more than 10 years, Lars Mittank is neither among the living nor the dead. His mother hopes that one day she will learn the truth. Lars may have been fleeing something real or betrayed by his own body and mind. The case is still open, with many theories circulating online. Haunted ships have fascinated people for centuries. Their legends sail the seas, just like the waves that swallowed them. And among all these stories, there is one that still frightens historians and sailors to this day: Mary Celeste. We will look at the real case of a ship that was found abandoned with no sign of violence, no crew, but with many questions. It's December 5th, 1872. The British ship De Gratia is sailing across the Atlantic when its crew spots something unusual. The abandoned Mary Celeste rocks on the horizon, its torn front sails still propelling it, as if guided by an unseen force. Captain David Morehouse and his men boarded it and discovered something disturbing. The ship was abandoned but undamaged, with nearly all 1,700 barrels of industrial alcohol intact. Just 9 barrels were missing. The crew's belongings remained, and enough food and water for 6 months was still there. The last entry in the ship's log was only 10 days old, but most importantly, the lifeboat was missing. And with it, 10 people, including Captain Benjamin Briggs, his wife Sarah, and their 2-year-old daughter Sophie, were gone. Early theories suggested pirates or mutiny, but there were no signs of violence or theft. Captain Briggs was experienced and respected. One of the strongest theories claims that the crew was afraid of an explosion because of alcohol fumes in the hold. Maybe they left the ship briefly and the lifeboat was lost. There are no signs of fire, explosion, or panic. The ship was in good condition. If they escaped, why didn't they return? Rumors began to spread about Mary Celeste as soon as she was salvaged. Witnesses claimed they felt a strange presence on board. Some spoke of a cold wind, even in complete calm. In 1884, sailor William Flood claimed that near the Azores, he saw a small boat full of misty figures. They silently reached for him, but vanished as he approached. Other captains also reported seeing Mary Celeste at sea. Drifting like a ghost, the ship disappeared into the mist as they approached. After salvage, Mary Celeste was sold and sailed on, but new crews faced accidents, misfortune, and death. In 1885, Captain Gilman Parker deliberately sank her off the coast of Haiti for insurance fraud. He reportedly admitted he sensed something evil on the ship, as if he wasn't alone. Mary Celeste became a ship that everyone was afraid of, and that nobody wanted. What really happened on board the Mary Celeste? No one knows. Maybe it was an accident or human error, or maybe something else. We still have no answers, which makes this case so terrifying. It's more than a disappearance story. It's a story about how something so tangible, a crew, a boat, lives, can vanish like smoke. How the ocean can be calm and yet hide something so inexplicable. 24. November 24, 1971. The night before Thanksgiving, a quiet man in a suit named Dan Cooper boards a plane in Portland. Soon the world will know his wrongly recorded name, Dan Cooper. Northwest Orient Flight 305 was headed to Seattle. Cooper, dressed in a suit and black tie, sat in the last row and ordered a drink. Soon after takeoff, he gave the flight attendant a note. "I have a bomb." He revealed wires, a battery, and red cylinders in his briefcase. He wanted 4 parachutes and dollars, $200,000 in 20s. After landing in Seattle, he released all 36 passengers, but kept the 6-member crew. The plane was refueled and set off for Mexico. Around 8 p.m. over the forest near Ariel, Washington, Cooper lowered the plane's rear stairs. He jumped from the plane into the darkness with a suitcase of money, carrying 2 parachutes. One was a non-functional training parachute. And that's how the legend began. The FBI called the operation Norjack and launched the largest manhunt in the history of airplane hijackings. Investigators checked more than 800 suspects, including Richard Floyd McCoy. He committed a similar hijacking a few months earlier, but he didn't match the witnesses' statements and was ruled out. McCoy escaped prison and died in a shootout. The FBI took DNA from Cooper's tie but found no match. He came from the Army as an inexperienced paratrooper, unaware the reserve parachute was sewn shut. After years, hope arrived. In 1980, an 8-year-old boy found a package with $5,800 by the Columbia River. The bills matched the ransom, but that still didn't lead to D.B. Cooper. They were found 32 kilometers from Ariel. We still don't know how they got there. Was it evidence that he died or just a clue he left on purpose? In 2016, after 45 years without success, the FBI officially closed the case. They said resources were better used elsewhere. Cooper was never found. Did he die or escape with $200,000 under a new name? D.B. Cooper remains a legend, hero or criminal, genius or gambler. Write in the comments what you think. Did Cooper survive his jump? Somewhere between point A and point B, something happened. Something no one saw. Something no one understood. A life-changing event for one family that remains unsolved. This is Brandon Swanson's story. A 19-year-old student from Minnesota who one May evening called his parents saying he needed help. He stayed on the phone until the moment he shouted, "Oh shit," and since then silence. Absolutely disturbing silence. Brandon grew up in the American city of Marshall, Minnesota. He studied a program focused on wind energy at a technical school in Canby. He was smart, curious, determined, enjoyed reading, and was interested in science and technology. He wasn't a troubled teenager, quite the opposite. On May 13, 2008, he finished his second semester. That evening, he met friends in Lind and Canby. Witnesses said he drank a little, but wasn't drunk. The evening was normal. Around 1:15 a.m., Brandon left the party and got in his car. He set out on his way home, a journey of only 56 kilometers. He knew the route by heart. He drove it every day. For unknown reasons, he took less frequented rural roads, perhaps because it was shorter, but we're not sure. 30 minutes later, Brandon called his parents saying he drove into a ditch. The car wasn't damaged, but was stuck and wouldn't move. He said he was near Lind, about 16 kilometers from home. His parents, Annette and Brian, quickly drove out to find him. They stayed on the phone with him the whole time. Brandon described his surroundings and talked about walking and seeing city lights in the distance. When they arrived, they couldn't find him, nor could he see them. Frustration grew, leading to a small argument. Brandon ended the call, but his mother soon called back to apologize. Brandon told her he was walking to Lind. At 2:23, the father called Brandon again. The conversation lasted until 3:10. During it, Brandon described his route and said that he could still see the lights of Lind. Suddenly he shouted, "Oh shit," and it was over. The line stayed open, but Brandon never spoke again. In the morning at 6:30, his parents contacted the police. However, at first they responded indifferently. After all, Brandon was an adult, and sometimes adults just stay out all night. A serious investigation began after noon. Using the cell phone signal, they found Brandon's last known location. Not by Linda, but close to Porter, 32 kilometers northwest. His car was found stuck on a dirt road. Search teams, volunteers, dogs, and helicopters were searching the area. The dogs followed a trail to the Yellow Medicine River but lost it there. What might have happened to Brandon? No theory has been confirmed, but all of them are disturbing. Voluntary disappearance? Unlikely. He didn't plan it, wanted to go home? Suicide? No depression? No goodbye? Accident? Maybe. The phone kept ringing the next day. Murder? Maybe, but no violence or witnesses? Since 2008, over 140 square miles have been searched, but not all areas. Some farmers refuse to let in the dogs and search teams, and those very places might be hiding the answer. Today, Brandon would be approaching 40 years old. He's still missing. Traces fade, memories blur, and time grows silent. The video continues right away. I just want to quickly ask you to subscribe, like, and share. We'll continue in a few seconds. Factos Root isn't finished yet. War has rules, cruel and bloody, but rules. A soldier falls, his body is found, and he is identified. What if nothing is left of the unit? Not weapons, bodies, or witnesses. It's the year 12, August 1915. The Gallipoli Peninsula in Turkey is being ravaged by battle. Allied forces are trying to break through Turkish positions to reach the Dardanelles, the key link between the Mediterranean and Black Sea. One of the units sent to the front is the Sandringham Company from Britain, an elite detachment of the Norfolk Regiment. Colonel Sir Horace Beauchamp leads the regiment and personally knows each of its 250 men. Their task is to clear the area in front of Hill 60 of enemy snipers. But something goes wrong. The Sandringhams advance too far, outpacing artillery support, and find themselves alone at the front. When the offensive collapses and the other units withdraw, there is no trace of the Sandringhams. General Ian Hamilton, Commander-in-Chief of British Forces, reports to London that something mysterious has occurred. The Allied command first thinks the regiment was captured, but the Turks deny holding any prisoners. In the 1960s, new light is shed on the case. 3 New Zealand veterans say they saw British soldiers marching toward the hill on the day of the disappearance. Strange loaf-shaped clouds were hanging over the hill. They were standing still. They didn't move at all, even though there was wind. According to their testimony, the soldiers entered these clouds and never came out. After a while, the clouds lifted and disappeared. A company disappeared without a trace, but the veterans recalled a different place, date, and unit. The testimony is fascinating, but historians find it not credible. The legend of the unit consumed by the living mist spread worldwide. Historian Steve Smith provides a more rational view. He says Captain Pierpont Edwards found over 180 bodies in a ditch after the war, frequently executed by a shot to the head. The theory says that the regiment was captured and massacred by Ottoman soldiers. The records of the British Army today list 162 dead. The rest could have been killed by grenades, buried, or taken prisoner. The case of the Sandringham men remains a mystery. Some see it as a military tragedy. Others call it a supernatural disappearance. We may never know the truth. At times, military confusion sparks legend. Since the 40s. An ominous billboard has stood along Route 16 near Fayetteville, West Virginia, since the 1940s. It depicted 5 siblings who vanished mysteriously at Christmas in 1945. Below the photos, it asked what their fate was. Were they kidnapped, murdered, or are they still alive? George Soter, originally Giorgio Sodu, was born in Italy in 1895. At 13, he moved to the United States of America, worked on the railroad, and later started his own transportation company. He and his wife Jenny had 10 children and lived peacefully. George's strong opposition to Mussolini caused tension with some Italian neighbors. On Christmas Eve 1945, the house was festive. At 1:30 in the night, Jenny was awakened by a phone call from an unknown woman. She heard laughter, loud conversation, and the clinking of glasses. After hanging up, she noticed the lights on and doors open. 30 minutes later, thick smoke woke her. George jumped up, broke a window, cut his hand, and tried to save the children, but all entrances were blocked. The ladder was missing, both of his trucks refused to start, and the barrel of water was frozen. The firefighters didn't arrive until 8 in the morning. One of the 5 children's bodies was never found. Investigators said the fire may have cremated them entirely. Mother Jenny disagreed. She experimented with fire and always found something remained. At the same time, some items from the house were preserved, partially intact. Several strange things occurred before and after the fire. Before the fire, the man warned of hazardous wiring. An unusual insurance agent made a fire threat. Strangers followed the children home from school. The midnight phone call was silent. Some witnesses claimed they saw the children in a car during the fire or at a hotel with an Italian group. George and Jenny hired a detective. They found out that the man who threatened them was on the jury that ruled it an accident. In 1967, Jenny received an anonymous letter from Kentucky with a photo of a young man. The family was convinced that it was their Lewis. The detective who was sent to check the lead never got back in touch. Jenny wore black dresses for the rest of her life. George died in 1969 without an answer. The billboard remained by Route 16 until the 1980s. Sylvia, the youngest of the siblings, believed until the end of her life that her siblings were still alive. What really happened on Christmas Eve night in 1945? Is it a tragic fire incident or a sophisticated crime covered up by the flames? We may never know the answer, but the Soder family case remains one of the strangest American Christmas tragedies. One night in 2007, 14-year-old Andrew Gosden from Northern England set out on a secret trip to London. He wore a black Slipknot t-shirt, carried a handheld gaming device, and had 200 pounds in his wallet. He was never seen again. Andrew was introverted but excelled academically and belonged to a loving, close-knit family. His parents recall a harmonious family life with shared meals, trips, and future plans. On September 14, 2007, Andrew left for school that morning as usual. But on the way, he went home, changed, withdrew 200 pounds, and went to the train station. He refused a return ticket and at 9:35 boarded a train to London. Where was he going and why? He arrived in London at 11:25 minutes later. He was last caught on camera leaving the station. Since then, nothing. No messages, movements, or online activity recorded. These are the last images of Andrew Gosden, showing him leaving King's Cross Railway Station in London. Did he plan to meet someone from online or seek independence? Some think he wanted a new life. The family wonders if he was just spontaneously seeking freedom or adventure, just like his sister did when looking for work experience. No evidence shows Andrew planned anything online. The police did not find any emails or traces of creating a profile on social networks. Some believe that he might have gone to London for a music concert or a museum, but none of that has been confirmed. In 2021, the police arrested 2 men on suspicion of kidnapping and human trafficking. Their electronic devices were analyzed, but after a thorough investigation, they were released. They had no connection to the case. Police are still seeking public help. Kevin Gosden describes years of anxiety, depression, and frustration. In the blog Help Us Find Andrew, he openly shares the family's pain over the past 16 years. He wrote that their son's disappearance left an irreplaceable void in their lives. Missing People continually supports the family, commemorating Andrew's birthday and the day he disappeared each year. They have created several age-progressed photographs showing what Andrew might look like today. Andrew was 14 years old when he disappeared. He'd be over 30 now. What happened to him? We don't know, but his family and the public have not given up hope that one day they will get answers. In June 1937, Amelia Earhart sat in her Lockheed Electra, aiming to become the first woman to fly around the world. She was determined, famous, and fearless. A few weeks later, she vanished from the face of the earth. No trace was ever found of her navigator, or the plane. This is the story of a woman who conquered the sky and was lost in it. It's 1928, and Amelia is invited to be the first woman to fly across the Atlantic. She wasn't the pilot, but a passenger. 2 men flew the plane. She was its public face, and that day made her famous. Suddenly, she became famous nationwide and later piloted record-breaking flights herself. In 1932, she became the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic. She started her own fashion line for female pilots. She became a symbol of the modern independent woman. In 1937, Amelia planned the biggest women's aviation project, flying around the world along the equator. With navigator Fred Noonan, they departed from California. Their route led through South America, Africa, India, and Southeast Asia. On July 2nd, they departed Lae, New Guinea, with just the last few thousand kilometers to go. They were headed to tiny Howland Island in the Pacific Ocean. The last radio said they were at 1,000 feet, low on fuel, then silence. They were never found. No plane, bodies, or wreckage were found. A massive search, the largest in civil aviation history, began. Nothing certain. Many theories exist. They might have vanished in the ocean depths or been captured by the Japanese as spies. Some think they crashed on an unknown island and survived there for days or weeks. Modern search teams with drones and sonar have searched vast areas of the ocean, but without success. The mystery has lasted for almost 90 years. Amelia Earhart disappeared without a trace. But her story did not disappear, and our hunger for answers hasn't disappeared either. Perhaps one day the truth will emerge, but until then, Amelia Earhart remains a major 20th century mystery. Rude is signing off for now, but mysteries never rest. See you soon. Subscribe to stay updated on mysteries.